All right, y'all, this is the best visual representation of spiritual warfare. I'm telling y'all, bro. Watch the whole thing. This is how it really is, bro. This is how it really is. Just watch. A disciple of Christ. This physical world. The unseen spiritual world. Look at them demons in the back. Look at them demons. Yep. Yep. The physical world. The spiritual world. Look at all them demons them people got, bro. Them demons are within them. It's in their vessel. It's in their body. Ooh. Look at them demons. They don't even know. They probably don't even know. The atheist spirit. Ooh. You see how the demons, they get scared of the warrior of Christ.
There's an entire spiritual world that exists within us and around us. There's so much more to this physical reality than we actually realize. That's ultimately what this video is about. We're going to explore exactly what spiritual warfare is and how it applies to this life experience we're all participating in. Let's get into it.
I hate to be the one to say it, but it's the music. It's 100% the music. When people talk about what's wrong with our society, it's the music. There's no doubt in my mind anymore. Stop listening to music and watch how much your mind almost completely resets itself. Think about it. At every generation, whether it be the classical period or the Gilded Age or the 60s, the lifestyle that people lived was almost a direct reflection of the music that they listened to. Like the culture that embodied the musical scene of the time was a reflection of the way people lived their lives. And you see it today. The lifestyles and the choices that are normalized today are a direct reflection of what is represented and embodied within the music of today. I know that sounds crazy because you have to understand that I'll never forget, I saw a video where this man who was in prison for 60 years came out of prison, and he said the first thing that he noticed was that everyone had these things in their ears. He didn't even know what they were called, but he was talking about earbuds, AirPods, headphones, etc. And he was amazed at this because it was almost as if everyone had tuned out of reality. You have to understand, there's a story in the Bible where a king was being tormented by demons, and the only way that he would feel comforted is if a man named David was playing a harp. Understand that listening to music every single day is a coping mechanism because there are thoughts in your head that you don't want to hear. And it's literally a form of chronic therapy. You're tuning out of reality because if you were to actually sit in the presence of your own thoughts, you would not like what your thoughts entail. So you try to blot out. It's really a form of escapism. We try to blot out that noise by constantly playing music.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Amanda Haynes. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're feeling up to it, go ahead and subscribe if you like the vibe and would like to join the tribe. I think the idea of spiritual warfare can seem pretty complex because everything seems so physical in this life. Like, how could there possibly be some underlying entity or demon or world that I'm unaware of, that I can't perceive? How is that possible, right? But when we talk about the constructs and behaviors within the framework of our society, some people like to call it this 3D matrix, on a deeper level screams spiritual warfare. His perspective on music is a great example of how we are influenced to become disconnected from our true nature. Another example would be the birthing process within hospitals in America. Newborns are stripped from their mothers very quickly for what we deem as health purposes, and the mother-child bond is severed almost immediately during a time when the mother and the child should be bonding. This is a form of spiritual warfare. Mainstream music is a form of spiritual warfare. The Gregorian calendar that we follow is a form of spiritual warfare. Let's keep going.
You know what demons look like? Yo, see that boy back there? When I walked in, he was acting crazy. I'm like, oh, bastard. So I'm like, yo, man, next time he come in, like, yo, why you? He treating me crazy. And then his wife came in and was like, yo, your wife ain't. I'm like, yo, Come on, treat me like that boy right there, that boy and this girl right there. Come on, treat me like that. I ain't playing that, you know what I'm saying? I hate stuff like that. They corny. Sit down. Now he sits down. He messed up. He ain't never gonna look at them the same again. Because I gave him a perspective. You call it perspective. The real word is spirit. That's called a transfer of spirits.
It's really interesting that he said transfer of spirits. Are the demons actually real? I don't know.
What is spiritual warfare? Also known as spiritual attacks, or as some folks like to say, fighting demons. To simply define it, spiritual warfare is schemes from the devil. And for some better understanding, go to Ephesians 6:12. It says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." And spiritual attacks can come in many different forms, but the enemy likes to hit below the belt. He is not going to attack you with something that he knows you can get over easily. He is going to hit you where it hurts. He going to make it personal. Oh, so you got something amazing going on right now. And the enemy knows that you used to struggle with the focusing. Oh, he's finna send a distraction your way, honey. The enemy sees you gaining confidence. He'll be like, oh, so you think you hot stuff now? Let me send a little self-doubt your way. Let me tell you, you ain't worth it. Let me get in your head a little bit. You ain't worthy of that. The enemy will try to make you fall back into old temptations. He'll try to make your faith weak. Because the enemy think he's slick. What's so funny is the more I've been teaching on TikTok, the more my spiritual warfare has increased. He don't want me doing this right now, but guess what? I ain't studying him. I ain't scared, and I can say that with complete confidence because 1 Peter 5:8-9 says, "Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Resist him, standing firm in the faith, because you know that the family of believers throughout the world is undergoing the same kind of sufferings." So not only does this verse encourage me to stand strong against the devil's schemes, it's also telling me I ain't the only one he attacking. He attacking all my brothers and sisters for being believers. But I ain't gonna lie, sometimes these demons I be fighting, they got hands sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not supposed to be easy. But once you spiritually mature, you'll be able to see these attacks for what they are. You'll be like, oh, I'm elevating in life right now. The enemy is mad. This is why it's happening. And just like I told y'all in my other video about spiritual warfare, thieves don't break into empty houses. So therefore, I know I got a gift inside of me. So put on the full armor of God. Do not allow the attacks and schemes of the enemy to hinder you, because that's what he wants. And then you let him win.
She mentioned the devil, and that's something that gets thrown around a lot, the devil, demons. And how I kind of see it, and I could be completely wrong here, is that the devil would be our ego, and the demons would be the thoughts and self-limiting beliefs that come in to distract and deter us from what it is our higher self wants to experience, the inner authority within us. And maybe it's just we're all saying the same thing here, just using different words. But it's interesting because we demonize this type of terminology. So devils, demons, something that's bad, something that is our enemy that's working against us. Even our ego can be demonized. But what if it's actually here to help us? What if these concepts that we're experiencing, these situations that we're experiencing are here to help us see something, are here to help walk us home? What if we made friends and made peace with these different aspects of ourselves, or these entities coming in, essentially reflecting back to us as a mirror what it is we're focusing on? I don't know. Let's keep going.
Here's the thing about spiritual warfare that you did not know in 2023. Spiritual warfare is not about beings fighting against one another in an invisible realm. Rather, spiritual warfare is about confusion. The phrase spiritual warfare means the path or journey to confuse your breath. The path or journey to confuse your breath. The word confuse means mixing and mingling values or ideas, making them indistinguishable. One example of spiritual warfare is called a generational curse. You and your entire family might think a certain process is correct when in all actuality, it's not correct, and it's deflecting everything that you are doing. One real life example, no order in the house. Let's just go with the flow. And spiritual warfare impacts your life in many different ways on many different levels.
I think he's given the best definition yet of spiritual warfare: causing confusion. Now, where could this confusion be coming from? What would be the point of confusion, period? Right? Ultimately, a distraction causing confusion from our true nature, causing a disconnection or a seeming disconnection between an individual and source, which individual is in itself ridiculous. So if we can look at all of the ways in which we're being disconnected from our true nature, we'll start to see that our society isn't built on maintaining connection with source. There's so many ways in which our attention is pulled away from God. And we're in these cycles of collective behavior that are pulling us further and further away from the truth. It's so important for us to maintain practices and behavior that keep us grounded in our true nature. Because the more and more disconnected we become from our true nature, the more and more ingrained in separation and disconnection we become. And it's not just ways in which society, the system, the matrix are practicing spiritual warfare upon us, but it's the ways in which we agree to these terms and conditions. We subscribe to things that we're presented with that don't necessarily serve us. We've become so disconnected from our true nature that we're blinded to the fact that we're all one. There is no separation, but it sure seems like that in this physical plane. And so many of us get tethered to this physical reality, believing that we're the body, believing that we're the mind and our thoughts, and believing that we're individual and separate from each other and everything in existence. So confusion was spot on for a definition of spiritual warfare. Let's keep going.
What does spiritual warfare feel like? And to me, I think it feels like death. It feels like decay, right? Because for the spirit to be able to flourish, the flesh has to die.
Right.
And I think of the story of Lazarus, where Jesus could have healed him, but his response when asked, like, why didn't he heal him, it's because this is for God's glory to show in it. Right? And it brings up, I think, a profound point that a lot of times we are fearful of letting things die because we're in a relationship with good circumstances instead of being in a relationship with a good God. Not realizing that God can turn death into life. Yeah. That he needs things in our life to die so that he can flourish and bring about his glory. So when we're in spiritual warfare, a lot of times it's because God is like saying, I need this to die. I need something in you to die. I need something that you're dealing with or a struggle that you're facing to die. I need this part of your identity to be ripped out so I can give you mine. And if we can just stop looking at always having this walk of faith as I always need to be in a good position and good circumstances mean I'm walking upright. Like, nah.
I think he touched on something really profound. In order for the spirit to flourish, the flesh has to die. If we're turning this back around to spiritual warfare being me against me, the ego against my true nature, then in order for my true nature, my spirit to shine, my ego must die. My flesh must die. My attachment to this body must die. My attachment to the identity that I believe that I am must die. When he talked about God proclaiming, I need this to die in order for me to bring you something new. And if we're swinging it back around to the other video where the woman was saying that as she's trying to propel in life, these demons are trying to bring her down. If these demons and the devil is our ego and our limiting beliefs, then in order for us to step into alignment with our spirit and our true nature and what it is we're meant to do, then these limiting beliefs and this ego, this image of who we believe we are has to die. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out my video, What is the Ego?, where we get into a little more of a deeper discussion on the role the ego plays. Let's keep it pushing.
Be tricked into thinking we're fighting a physical war. The devil loves to distract you by getting you focused on the physical while he's operating on the spiritual. We get focused down here. We see this with spousal arguments. Why do y'all always fight on a Sunday? It's not like something in the water, guys. Like, Phoenix has got bad water, but it's not that bad, right? Like, there's a reason. Or I have couples that might come to counseling, and on the way there, they have exploded, and we drove separately. We couldn't even look at each other. And I'm like, oh, you've just reached out for help. You know the enemy's coming at you, guys, and they're going right over their head. The enemy is a tactician. He knows exactly how to snipe you from far. You look around, and you blame the closest person to you while he's 10 million miles away in the cosmos, and you blame the first closest physical thing you see. And all the while, the enemy flies under the radar. Paul is saying, listen, church, do not forget, our weapons are not made of flesh. Our weapons are spiritual, and they are for tearing down spiritual strongholds and every lofty idea and argument that raises itself against Christ. The reason maybe you're not walking in victory spiritually is because you are fighting physically what should be fought spiritually. You're laboring down here. I just got to work hard. I got to try harder. I got to do more. I got to be better. I got to do this, do that, talk, network, do this, build that. And up here, there is a war waging for your encouragement or for your discouragement, for your distraction. And you're completely missing that we are spiritual beings. Our God is spirit, and the enemy operates on a spiritual plane. We need to understand something as we go into a series on spiritual warfare. Stop getting tripped up on the physical. Stop getting tripped up on the trivial little things that annoy you down here.
I really think he's onto something. But again, I'm going to swing right on back around to what if the enemy is our ego? Our ego is tricky. It is conniving. It's slick. It's sly. It's deceptive. It's anything that you can describe the devil to be or a demon to be. And maybe why it's so easy to fall into these traps that the enemy has placed is because they seem so justified. So for example, the arguing married couple on their way to counseling. I'm sure whatever it is they're arguing about seems so justified to the egoic self. So all I'm saying here, and maybe we're all saying the same thing, is maybe the enemy isn't outside of us. And maybe it really is me versus me. But that's pretty much all I have for y'all today. Go ahead and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your perspective on if you're experiencing any spiritual warfare and any tips you have for us around how you're fighting your battle. If you haven't already, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who may be in the thick of it right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.